And like just to set the scene, it opens with this drone footage, like panning over this snowy landscape. And then there's this luxury cabin all decked out like super high-end pine wood and walnut,
Yeah.
even like a pearly red carbon fiber sleigh bed. It's a very different vibe.
Yeah, that's not the Santa's workshop we're used to picturing.
It's like Santa's gone full like Silicon Valley CEO,
Really.
But then there are these little hints that something's a bit off, right? So you got these broken liquor bottles just like scattered around, and then the screens are like flashing these weather reports about restricted travel in places like Killington and Whistler.
Oh, wow. Those are some pretty famous ski resorts.
Exactly, yeah. And then there's this one line that just throws me every time. It's like, a shipment of hummingbird broth was lost. Hummingbird broth? What is that?
Yeah, Canibus is really good at using these like unexpected words to create this kind of unsettling feeling, like he's dropping these little clues that something's not right. But he doesn't sell it out for you.
Yeah, it makes you lean in, like what's going on here.
Exactly.
And that's where like his lyrical skill really comes through.
Yeah.
It's not just storytelling. He's like building a whole world with his words. Take those lines. Killington, Vermont, Whistler, Snow King Resort, black diamond conditions, travel restricted, and closed off.
It's like a travelogue gone wrong.
All right. And he's using these real places, these specific skiing terms. Black diamond, that's like expert level skiing.
Right.
And it makes it all feel so real, grounded. And then the internal rhymes, like Snow King Resort and closed off. So clever.
Definitely not your typical Christmas song.
No, not at all. So we've got this luxury cabin, but there's this tension, this feeling that something is off. And then, bam, Canibus just drops this line. Mrs. Claus had a psychotic blow-off.
Oh.
Right. Like, this isn't just a weird Christmas story anymore. This is getting, like, dark.
Yeah, it's like a psychological thriller or something.
Totally. And that line is so brilliant because it completely flips our idea of Mrs. Claus. She's not baking cookies. She's having a meltdown.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, like, what happened? What's going on up the North Pole that would push Mrs. Claus to this point? Canibus doesn't give us all the answers, but he gives us enough to make us want to keep listening.
That's the mark of a good storyteller.
Absolutely. And trust me, things are about to get even weirder.
And inside the cabin, it's like the opposite of cozy Christmas vibes.
Yeah, it's more like a biohazard zone.
Yeah, like there's black mold everywhere, rotting food, and get this, the elves are throwing raves.
Raves. Like with glow sticks and everything?
It sounds like it, yeah. And it's like this whole juxtaposition of Christmas imagery with this really dark, unsettling stuff.
And the way Canibus describes it, it's so vivid. He uses these words like biomass and putrefaction. It's like scientific, but applied to Christmas.
Exactly. And it creates this sense of like dissonance, like something's not right.
And it's not just the setting. It's like the characters too. Mrs. Claus battling a fentanyl problem. The elves are working for terrorists.
It's like Christmas gone bad.
Totally corrupted. And then there's the reindeer.
Oh, yeah, poor Rudolph.
Yeah, he says Rudolph's nose is sick. And then Dancer and Prancer have cap hocks and fluid blocks. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's also like really creative. He's taking these symbols of Christmas and showing us their vulnerability.
Right, like they're not these magical creatures anymore. They're real animals that can get sick and suffer.
Exactly, and it makes you think about like the fragility of tradition. Even Christmas isn't immune to the harsh realities of the world.
And then, of course, there's Santa himself, and he's not just sick, he's like on death's door.
Right. Canibus says his genomic integrity is compromised and his bodily fluids are mixing with biopollutants.
And for those who don't speak science, genomic integrity basically means your DNA is messed up.
And biopollutants are like harmful substances in the environment, so it's suggesting that Santa's illness is caused by something bigger than just a cold.
Yeah, like some kind of environmental disaster, and then there's this elf trying to explain what's wrong with Santa, but he's not even a real doctor. He's a medical proctor.
Medical proctor. I don't even know what that is.
Me neither. But he's like throwing around all this medical jargon, talking about different acids like lactic, uric, sulfuric.
Yeah, this is where Canibus's lyrics get really dense.
And he says Santa's acids are much darker, whatever that means.
Yeah, it's like a medical mystery wrapped in a Christmas riddle.
And then the rhymes, I mean, they're insane. Polyethylene death sprays with nuclear submarines wet bay. Come on.
It's mind-blowing, and he makes it sound so effortless.
So we've got Santa dying Mrs. Claus, freaking out elves working for terrorists, and this whole medical mystery going on.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It really is. And we haven't even talked about Dr. Oculus yet.
Dude, that Oculus, who's that?
That's the big mystery. The elves are trying to contact him like, he's the only one who can save Santa, but who is he?
I guess we'll have to find out in the next part.
Okay, so we've spent the last two parts, like, really unpacking this crazy verse from Canibus, and I don't know about you, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in dying Santa rogue elves medical jargon galore.
It's like a Christmas fever dream gone wrong.
Ah.
But even with all that, like, the thing that really gets me is Canibus's wordplay and how he uses language.
Oh, absolutely. He manages to weave these intricate rhymes and all this unexpected vocabulary together in a way that's both like technically impressive and super engaging.
It's like he's a master puzzle maker with words. Like, who else would even think to rhyme ozonated creams with mesenchymal stem cells?
Seriously, it's mind-blowing, and he does it all so effortlessly.
And it's not just about showing off his vocabulary either. It's about creating a specific feeling. Like he's using these complex rhymes and technical terms to pull you into this world he's built.
Yeah, you're not just listening to a song, you're like experiencing it.
Exactly. And beyond the technical skill, there's the way he uses language to create these vivid images. Like when he describes the reindeer with their capped hocks and bone cysts. It's like you can almost see them, feel their pain.
It's heartbreaking, but it's also beautiful in a way,
Yeah, it's like he's taking these symbols of Christmas, these like perfect creatures, and showing us their fragility, their humanity.
Stripping away the sentimentality and revealing something much more real and raw.
And that rawness, that darkness, it just permeates the whole verse, from the black mold to the elves working for terrorists. It's like this shadow hanging over everything.
Yeah, and I think that shadow, it reflects our own anxieties about the world, like Canibus is using this familiar holiday setting to explore these darker themes like decay and corruption and the fragility of tradition.
It's deeper than just a Christmas story. It's a commentary on society as a whole.
Exactly. He's holding up a mirror to us, making us confront the things we might not want to see.
And he's doing it all with this incredible lyrical skill. Those internal rhymes, the unexpected vocabulary, the way he blends scientific language with everyday speech. It's just masterful.
He's a true poet, even if his subject matter is a little unconventional.
Definitely unconventional. So I think we've done a pretty good job breaking down this lyrical puzzle.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I have so much more respect for Canibus now.
Yeah, me too. He's an artist who demands your attention and rewards you for it.
Absolutely. So the next time you hear a Christmas song, think about this deep dive. Ask yourself, is there something more going on beneath the surface? Is there a darker story hiding in plain sight?
That's a great thought to leave our listeners with, because the best art is the kind that makes you think and question and stays with you long after it's over.
Well said. So until next time, keep those ears open and those minds engaged.